they're going to have to start explaining to the American people why they consistently vote to shut down the government at a time when there are important priorities that need to be funded, whether that's air traffic control or TSA or Border Patrol, law enforcement, our troops, obviously, first and foremost. Those are all things that very shortly here are not going to get paid if we don't, the government doesn't open up. And I think that's starting to sink in with the American people. The Democrats they're going to own this.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune on the Senate floor yesterday, he blasted Democrats for repeatedly voting to keep the government shut down as federal workers continue to miss their paychecks. Of course, you saw that interview with our own Larry Kudlow. He's now expected to push a bill this week that would guarantee pay for federal employees and military service members. The Speaker Mike Johnson revealing he would bring the House back if the Senate voted to pay federal workers and members of the military. The House Speaker is going to be joining us in the 8 a.m. hour to weigh in. Meanwhile, President Trump is set to host a high-stakes lunch with Senate Republicans in the Rose Garden. That's today. Senate Democrats failing for the 11th time to pass a House-passed measure to reopen the government. Let's bring in Florida Congressman Mike Haridopolos. He is a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Congressman, I want to get your thoughts here because, we're in the fourth week now, and you've got millions of these federal workers that aren't getting paid, unpaid federal workers, families that are relying on food programs. We've seen Governor Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. They're now trying to message that it's the Republicans' fault that people aren't getting their SNAP benefits. How long can this continue?
Well, it's frustrating. As you know, many weeks ago, we passed to keep the government open. It's common sense. It's what Democrats did 13 times during the Biden years. It's a clean CR to your viewers. That means no added politics, just a continuation of how we're spending money. We even agreed to their terms as far as the date, November 21. But they switched gears on us despite those negotiations. They shut the government down. Now we're waiting to get 60 votes in the Senate so we can get back to work and make sure the American comeback continues, because we have the highest stock market in history. We have, of course, low interest rates. Gas prices are finally coming down. We need to open the government back up so we can continue the American comeback.
But aren't you concerned? I mean, we've seen the polling shift. Look, government shutdowns are just inherently unpopular, whoever the party is that's responsible for that. But are you worried that if this continues with Republicans controlling the White House, the Senate, and the House, that this could hurt the party in the midterms next year?
Well, I think we always need to do the right thing. Of course, the politics are out there. The Democrats, candidly, are sometimes better at it than we are. But we want to do the right thing. We want to make sure that our men and women in the military get paid. We want to keep those air traffic controllers in place. It's just a common sense decision to keep the government open. And it's so frustrating dealing with the Democrats right now. They're basically saying we're only going to open the government if you want to increase spending by $1.5 trillion and take away all those good reforms he put back in the big bill back in July, meaning we reform Medicaid. We finally had those tax implications in place that could grow the economy. But the Democrats think, hey, you know what? We have nothing to lose. We've never been more unpopular. They have a civil war going on. They're about to name a communist the mayor of New York City. So they're desperate. And I guess they think the best thing to do is shut down the government. I disagree, and it's the reason why I'm glad Mike Johnson's holding firm. And I hope we can find a deal in the Senate so we can move the country forward and get back to work.
Well, and we're going to have Speaker Johnson join us in the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to ask him the same question, sir. But, when the House does come back, one of your colleagues, this is Chip Roy out of Texas, is really pushing. He definitely wants a vote. And there's some discourse, we understand, within you and your colleagues, because he wants to see stock trading. He wants a bipartisan stock trading ban for you and your colleagues. That's something he talked about yesterday. He was up there at the press conference with Speaker Johnson. Is that something that you would support?
Well, I've already come out publicly in support of the idea during my campaign. I think that members of Congress should focus on our job. I know the Speaker is in adherence with that. It's something we need to work out because we need to focus on getting this economy back in shape, and we should not focus on what's happening in the stock market individually. And so I would support such a measure. But what I really want to focus on, people need to understand that Obamacare, for example, is a disaster. They promised we get to keep our doctor. They promised that it would be lower costs. Those are all fallacies. And now the insurance companies are the ones ones who are really making bank off of this. We need to reform the system, and we need to move this economy forward. And we can't do it when the Democrats won't even keep the government open. It's a frustrating situation as a new member of Congress.
Well, you know, the markets are open, and of course, companies are out there. The government is shut down, which the American taxpayer is paying for. But stand by real quick. I do want to let our viewers know we had General Motors. This is a very important company for our viewers. Earnings crossing. They came in. They beat at $280 a share and $48.59 billion on revenue. This obviously is a company that is very key to domestic manufacturing, domestic growth. That's something that I know that you and your colleagues want to see, and the president has wanted to see. Let's make cars here. Let's get past foreign cars coming into this country. So I wanted to get that out to our viewers. But, you know, at the same time, sir, I think at what point, I mean, we're in week 4. If we're sitting here in week 5, and at this point, unless something changes in the next 2 days, we're going to be into week 5. Does the strategy need to change for Republicans?
Well, I think that John Thune has been very open to discussions in the Senate. And I used to be a college professor, used to teach U.S. history and politics. And the rules are this. We pass a bill. We send it over to the Senate. We're waiting for the Senate to act. And we can't really do much until they work out some type of thing to potentially send it back to us, or let's just reopen the government. I mean, again, the extortion note from the Democrats is $1.5 trillion in additional spending. And then they want to rubber stamp Obamacare, which would cost another $450 billion. That's almost $2 trillion in new spending, which is their request. We have to disagree because, as you mentioned, look at the American comeback that's happening right now with the stock market. Jobs are being fulfilled. You're seeing finally the inflation level being flat and interest rates are down. I don't understand why the Democrats would want to undercut that very support unless they just want to play politics. And so we want to move this forward, and I hope that the Senate can find about 6 more votes. I know 3 Democrats have already come over to our side, the common sense of keeping the government open so we can continue the economic numbers you just mentioned.
And I do want to say I do commend you for being in Washington because and I know it seems like more and more of you and your colleagues are coming to Washington and trying to get things done despite the fact that the offices are closed. And maybe we need to have more business of the House kind of brought forth. We'll talk to Speaker Johnson about that. But before you go, you know, this is really sidelined, in particular, 80% of NASA's workforce. We've delayed launches. It's halting research. It jeopardizes missions. I mean, this is national security and our leadership in space. You chair the House Science and Space and Aeronautics Subcommittee, so I want to get your reaction in particular to what's happening at NASA, sir.
It is so frustrating because, you remember, just a few years ago, we had to get a ride from the Russians to our own space station. Now we have this great comeback happening. SpaceX, Blue Origin, Airbus, all these jobs are flourishing in my district. And, of course, next year we're going to go around the moon for the first time since 1972. We need to reopen the government. We have to win the space race. You can't be #1 on Earth if you're #2 in space. That's why we're pushing to keep the government open. And the Democrats need to stop playing these silly political games.
Congressman Mike Haridopolos, so much at stake. We appreciate you being with us this morning. We're going to be watching everything. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody.